Good morning, my brothers and sisters in Christ. I'm so happy you stopped by today. Let me straighten this up a little bit. Okay. We're going to be doing our best to get back on track here. All of our normal, everyday, and the word just went right out of my head. See, this is what's happening when they're spraying that stuff in the skies, whatever it is. I honestly believe it makes us forget words. It makes us forget stuff. Yeah, I'm getting older, but English was, although I didn't finish college, English was my major when I was in college, and I just lose words constantly. It's just nerve-wracking. It just, and forgetting stuff here and there. All I can do is pray that we don't really have a history of dementia in my family. We have had a couple of people that did have it, and probably way back in the day, people had it, and the doctors just didn't know what to call it. It was, just that crazy uncle or whatever, how they used to talk about folks that way. But, see, I just get tongue-tied and absolutely lose my train of thought, and it's just maddening. It's absolutely maddening. Anyway, the word that I was trying to think of was schedule. Our schedule has been thrown off a little bit because hubby's been home from his injury. So he's gone to the doctor right now, so we're praying for a good report on that. And all the puppies are asleep, and hopefully we can get through this. But I cannot remember if I shared this on this channel. I know that I've made comments in a lot of other people's videos of folks that are having prophetic dreams and words and visions. But I can't remember if I shared it on here. There it goes again. I can't remember stuff. But we do have some new folks on here that maybe haven't gone back and watched some of the older videos. So let me just preface this. We're going to be back in Samuel today. So we'll be back in the Old Testament. Anybody that wants to read along, we're going to be in 1 Samuel verses 4 and 5. Anyway, the night of the election, what was that, November 3rd, we did not stay up real late watching this, because I knew it was going to be a fiasco, but we did watch one of the alternative news networks, because I don't watch mainstream media stuff. So we loaded up YouTube on our TV in the bedroom, and we were watching Blaze TV, which is a Glenn Beck channel, I guess you'd call it, whatever. I know that they get that you can get subscriptions to it and whatnot, but you can also watch a lot of his content on YouTube for free. But it's all like Chad Prather, Phil Robertson from the Duck Dynasty. He's on Blaze TV, and I'm just getting to know some of the people. So you are able to get on there and watch more of the Christian value programming and conservative type programming. If you're sick of what you're seeing on the mainstream media, which is what it is. Stop by Blaze TV and check out some of the programming on there, the news and commentaries and whatnot. Anyway, back to my story. You have to excuse me too. I've got an extremely dry mouth today. So that night, and we still had the TV on because my husband was doing some stuff, but I had already rolled over and was just about asleep. I was in that, what I call the twilight zone. You're not really awake and you're not really asleep. And as clear as a bell, into my right ear, I heard God's voice, is all I can assume it was, tell me that judgment would be swift and complete. And that's all that was said. It was kind of an odd way to put it, so that lets me know that it wasn't something that I necessarily thought up. But you never know when you're in that in-between. You know, did I really hear that? But I do believe, because the very first word was like somebody was laying in the, other than my husband, was laying in the bed right next to my ear. Like I audibly heard this. So, folks, just do whatever you need to do, get right with God. I don't know how much more time we have. Nobody knows, because he will come like a thief in the night. But get right with God right now. If you're not, there is a sinner's prayer. It's easy to find on Google, YouTube, just about any Christian channel. If nothing else, say the Lord's Prayer. It's in the Bible. You can look that up. You can Google that and find out. Off the top of my head, I'm not sure where it is. We are reading through the Bible cover to cover. And I should be writing down some of these more important verses, which I have not done yet. I'm just committing them to my heart and knowing, which, of course, that and Psalm 23, everything that we learned as a child, it seems like once you're taught, it just never goes away. So, I wasn't really raised in a quote-unquote Christian home. We didn't go to church every Sunday. I would go with my little friends, when they would go. As I got older, I did go to church on a regular basis, but I wasn't really there, quote-unquote, doing a little air asterisk. I wasn't really there. My boyfriend's family went to church, so that's what I did. I went to church with them. Unfortunately, I didn't get a lot out of it then. But now, when God's kind of telling us to come out of the churches because so many of them are corrupt, is the time that I've been trying to find one. And it's just, it's not happening, and I know it's not happening for a reason. So, a lot of people are opening up their own home Bible study church type things, and that is something that I had given thought to. However, with these four-leggeds that I've got in here, that's probably not going to be possible to do. But should anybody in my area decide to do something like that, we got a whole bunch of new neighbors moving in here, and I would like to get to know everybody, to see. There's going to be, let's see, 1, 2, 3. There's at least 5 new families that are coming in to our little rural area, and I mean, we are rural. They're buying land, and most everybody's putting double wides on it. They're not really going into the in for the house building. They're just buying their lots and moving in double wide mobile homes, which is fine. That's what we live in. You know, it is what it is. But we are pretty rural, and I know all my neighbors that were here when we moved in, but now we've got new folks coming, and so I've been praying for a good Christian friend, because although I know all these people out here, it's not like we see each other on a regular basis. You know, if I need something, they all know that my husband's a truck driver and he's gone all the time. If I need help with something, I can call just about anybody around here and I'll get help. So that's a good thing. But, you know, a whole lot of socializing doesn't go on. You know, we don't have like cookouts or, you know, come over in the morning for a cup of coffee and chit chat and, you know, maybe talk about the Bible or whatever. So that I'm hoping that some of these new neighbors I can do that with. So keep me in your prayers about that, because I would like to find somebody I can spend time with while hubby's out on the road, because I spend 90% of my time alone. When all this lockdown and everything started, I couldn't understand why everybody was getting so upset. This is just every day for me. This is just everyday life. You know, I don't go to town very much anyway, and I'm here alone. Nobody ever comes to visit, and I don't go out and visit for the most part because I've got all these animals in the house. So it is what it is. But now, I've rambled long enough, so I hope we can get through this reading this morning. I may be able to only get through one chapter because I don't like these to run too much more than 15 minutes. So, and we're already up to 12 with me rambling. My goodness. Time flies when you're having fun. Anyway, folks, let's get started in this so we can get some of God's Word out there in the world today. All right. Like I said, we'll be in 1 Samuel, starting with chapter 4. And the word of Samuel came to all Israel. Now Israel went out against the Philistines to battle, and pitched beside Ebenezer, and the Philistines pitched in Aphek. And the Philistines put themselves in array against Israel, and when they joined battle, Israel was smitten before the Philistines, and they slew of the army in the field about 4,000 men. And when the people were come into the camp, the elders of Israel said, Wherefore hath the Lord smitten us today before the Philistines? Let us fetch the ark of the covenant of the Lord out of Shiloh unto us, that when it cometh among us, it may save us out of the hand of our enemies. So the people went to Shiloh, that they might bring from thence the ark of the covenant of the Lord of hosts, which dwelleth between the cherubims, and the two sons of Eli, Hophni and Phinehas, hope I said that right, were there with the ark of the covenant of God. And when the ark of the covenant of the Lord came into the camp, all Israel shouted with a great shout, so that the earth rang again. And when the Philistines heard the noise of the shout, they said, What meaneth the noise of this great shout in the camp of the Hebrews? And they understood that the ark of the Lord was come into the camp. And the Philistines were afraid, for they said, God is come into the camp. And they said, Woe unto us, for there hath not been such a thing heretofore. Woe unto us! Who shall deliver us out of the hand of these mighty gods? These are the gods that smote the Egyptians with all the plagues in the wilderness. Be strong, and quit yourselves like men, O ye Philistines, that ye be not servants unto the Hebrews, as they have been to you. Quit yourselves like men, and fight. And the Philistines fought, and Israel was smitten, and they fled every man into his tent, and there was a very great slaughter. And there fell of Israel 30,000 footmen. And the ark of God was taken, and the two sons of Eli, Hophni and Phinehas, were slain. And there ran a man of Benjamin out of the army, and came to Shiloh the same day, with his clothes rent, and with earth upon his head. And when he came, lo, Eli sat upon a seat by the wayside, watching, for his heart trembled for the ark of God. And when the man came into the city and told it, all the city cried out. And when Eli heard the noise of the crying, he said, What meaneth the noise of this tumult? And the man came in hastily and told Eli. Now Eli was 98 years old, and his eyes were dim, that he could not see. And the man said unto Eli, I am he that came out of the army, and I fled today out of the army. And he said, What is there done, my son? And the messenger answered and said, Israel is fled before the Philistines, and there hath been also a great slaughter among the people, and thy 2 sons also, Hophni and Phinehas, are dead, and the ark of God is taken. And it came to pass, when he made mention of the ark of God, that he fell from off the seat backward by the side of the gate, and his neck brake, and he died, for he was an old man and heavy. And he had judged Israel 40 years. And his daughter-in-law, Phinehas' wife, was with child, near to be delivered. And when she heard the tidings that the ark of God was taken, and that her father-in-law and her husband were dead, she bowed herself and travailed, for her pains came upon her. And about the time of her death, the woman that stood by unto her, Fear not, for thou hast borne a son. But she answered not, neither did she regard it. And she named the child Ichabod, saying, The glory is departed from Israel, because the ark of God was taken, and because of her father-in-law and her husband. And she said, The glory is departed from Israel, for the ark of God is taken. I think we can get through chapter 5. We're running a little bit long, but that's okay. So chapter 5. And the Philistines took the ark of God, and brought it from Ebenezer unto Ashdod. When the Philistines took the ark of God, they brought it into the house of Dagon, and set it by Dagon. And when they of Ashdod arose early on the morrow, behold, Dagon was fallen upon his face to the earth before the ark of the Lord. And they took Dagon, and set him in his place again. And when they arose early on the morrow morning, behold, Dagon was fallen upon his face to the ground before the ark of the Lord. And the head of Dagon and both the palms of his hands were cut off upon the threshold. Only the stump of Dagon was left to him. Therefore neither the priests of Dagon, nor any that come into Dagon's house, tread on the threshold of Dagon and Ashdod unto this day. But the hand of the Lord was heavy upon them of Ashdod, and he destroyed them, and smote them with emerods, even Ashdod, and the coasts thereof. And when the men of Ashdod saw that it was so, they said, The ark of the God of Israel shall not abide with us, for his hand is sore upon us, and upon Dagon our God. They sent therefore, and gathered all the lords of the Philistines unto them, and said, What shall we do with the ark of God of Israel? And they answered, Let the ark of the God of Israel be carried about unto Gath. And they carried the ark of the God of Israel about thither. And it was so, that after they had carried it about, the hand of the Lord was against the city with a very great destruction, and he smote the men of the city, both small and great, and they had emerods in their secret parts. Therefore they sent the ark of God to Ekron. And it came to pass, as the ark of God came to Ekron, that the Ekronites cried out, saying, They have brought about the ark of the God of Israel to us, to slay us and our people. So they sent and gathered together all the lords of the Philistines, and said, Send away the ark of the God of Israel, and let it go again to his own place, that it slay us not. and our people, for there was a deadly destruction throughout all the city. The hand of God was very heavy there, and the men that died not were smitten with the emerods, and the cry of the city went up to heaven. And that will do it for 1 Samuel 4 and 5. So I hope you all have a very blessed day. I am sorry for carrying this on so long today. It was just something that I needed to get out. And I hope it wasn't too awful to bear for you. Anyway, I hope you all have a very blessed day. Thank you so much for stopping by. Be kind to one another, and have a blessed day. We'll talk to you next time.